Some divorces can be expensive, but when you're a high-profile successful celebrity, well, the numbers thrown around in these settlements would make your socks fall off. I'm Adam Andrews with Where Are They Now, and this is the top 10 most high-profile celebrity divorces that made these people rich. Number 10. Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott. When you are one of the richest people in the world, it means you have more you can afford to give up, and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has a lot. When he and former wife Mackenzie Scott announced in January 2019 that they were getting divorced after 25 years of marriage and 4 children together, as part of their settlement, Scott would receive 25% of the couple's Amazon stock. 25%? That can't be crazy, I hear some of you sweet innocent souls say. Well, let me tell you, the value of that 25% is about $38 billion. $1 billion is already an extremely high number on its own, but you times that by 38 and you're dealing with a sum of money I can't even imagine. Scott has said that she would be giving at least half of her fortune to charity, but okay, half of that is still a mega amount of money. To be fair, Mackenzie Scott has been rich for a long time and would have likely remained rich had she been receiving nothing at all, but still. Number 9. Mel Gibson and Robin Moore. Australian actor Mel Gibson was a huge name in Hollywood for a good little while there before his controversies brought him a little lower on the peg. Mad Max and Robin Moore were married for 31 years before their divorce was finalized in 2011. Mel definitely needed a brave heart for this one, as it was rumored he had to pay somewhere in the ballpark of $425 million in the divorce settlement. Good golly. While the details of the judgment were mostly kept secret, since, it's a divorce, something that people usually like to be private about, it had been estimated at the time by the Los Angeles Business Journal that the Oscar award-winning director and actor was worth $850 million. And since the couple, who by the end had 7 children together, did not have a prenup, according to California law, Moore would have been entitled to half of that sum. So this is mainly just speculation. Michael Jordan and Juanita Vinoy. Juanita Vinoy first filed for divorce from basketball legend Michael Jordan in 2002, possibly after private investigator Ernie Rizzo captured Jordan in, quote, some compromising situations with half a dozen women over 1992 to 2002. After withdrawing her petition for divorce a month after filing in an attempt to reconcile, Vinoy and Jordan announced they were unfortunately actually splitting in 2006. According to Crane's Chicago Business, Vinoy received a grand total of $168 million in the divorce settlement, and then, on top of that, the thing I always forget about is the legal fees. For that little pickle, Jordan also paid an additional $2.1 million. Yikes, Mike. Number 7. Tiger Woods and Ellen Nordegren. If we want to talk about high profile, this is pretty high up on that list. Golden boy, golf legend, and seeming family man Tiger Woods broke news in 2009 with a string of affairs and compromising text messages that became very public. This obviously led to a divorce between Woods and his blindsided wife, Ellen Nordegren, in August of 2010. In an exclusive interview, Ellen said, quote, I never suspected, not a one. For the last 3.5 years when all this was going on, I was home a lot more with pregnancies than the children and my school. Obviously, since the divorce and controversy, Tiger himself has turned things around and made a comeback, but the divorce and controversy cost him more than just the marriage, but specifically in reputation and advertising. At the time, Nordegren and her lawyers were initially aiming for $750 million in the divorce settlement, but eventually it landed at just $100 million in assets that included cash and property. The Golden Boy was worth $500 million when the controversy first broke. Number 6. Heather Mills and Paul McCartney. Heather Mills, a former model and activist, married former Beatle Paul McCartney in 2002, but in 4 probably long years, the marriage dissolved in 2006. But the actual settlement for the divorce? That thing dragged on for 2 more years before a number was eventually reached. Mills initially sought a settlement of $250 million, but what's interesting is the judge ruled the claim exorbitant, which is a little odd considering McCartney is one of the most successful musicians and composers in the history of pop music and has a current net worth of $1.2 billion. In any case, the judge awarded Mills, who shares a daughter with McCartney, the much smaller sum of a paltry $48.6 million instead. Gosh, how will she ever get by on that? Paul also had to provide a $5 million stipend for Heather to buy a home in London and a $1 million per year in spousal support for 5 years. In a press conference after the proceedings in 2008, Mills said, quote, "I'm so glad it's over and it was an incredible result, in the end, to secure my and my granddaughter's future, and that all of the charities that I obviously plan on helping." Number 5. Adele and Simon Konecki. I actually remember this one making quite the splash. British singer and songwriter Adele married charity executive Simon Konecki back in 2016 after the two dated for 5 years. Now together they had a son, but that was in 2012. But after about 7 years of being together, they announced their separation in 2019, but didn't finalize it until 2021. In between that, in 2020, we learned that the two had no prenup, and their residence for legal purposes during the marriage was in the state of California, where an ex-spouse is entitled to 50% of all income and assets generated during the marriage. Adele earned around $200 million before taxes during their married years, but despite that, Cosmopolitan reported a Los Angeles court granted Konecki $171 million. Since the details were kept private by the court, we don't know actual details for the amount of her wealth, so perhaps she generated more than the $200 million we thought, as she did splash about $10.65 million for a new house in Beverly Hills after the divorce. Number 4. Madonna and Guy Ritchie. This one wasn't actually too high profile. It was very quick, and there wasn't much drama surrounding it, but considering who was involved, I found it to be at least worth talking about. American mega pop superstar Madonna and awesome British film director Guy Ritchie officially ended things in 2008 after 8 years of marriage. Apparently, according to a bunch of sources, Madonna ended up paying Ritchie, who obviously has his own sizable fortune, a divorce settlement between $76 million to $92 million, which includes the couple's London pub and residence and the Wiltshire estate in England. She currently has a net worth of about $850 million, while Ritchie has a net worth of about $150 million. Jennifer Lopez and Chris Judd. J-Lo is no stranger to divorce. She's been married 3 times before her now husband and former flame, Ben Affleck. But the one we're talking about today is the marriage and divorce between Jennifer Lopez and former backup dancer Chris Judd. Their marriage lasted less than a year, but that length of time still reportedly cost the actress and singer $14 million after the two divorced in 2003. It marked the second of the famous actresses and singers' 4 marriages, but apparently it was amicable and the two are still friends. I just want to know where all the $14 million went, as his current net worth is just $1 million. Number 2. James Cameron and Linda Hamilton. Titanic, Terminator, and Avatar director and explorer James Cameron has an incredible amount of wealth, as you might have assumed. Much more than his ex-wife Linda Hamilton. After already going through 3 marriages and divorces, Cameron married Terminator star Linda Hamilton in July 1997, 4 years after the actress had given birth to their daughter. But this marriage still only lasted a year and a half, thanks to the fact that there were rumors of an affair between Cameron and actress Susie Amis, who would later become his 5th wife. When Cameron and Linda Hamilton divorced in 1999, according to Forbes, Cameron made about $100 million for the film Titanic, and Hamilton received half of those earnings in the divorce settlement, getting $50 million total. She is now sitting at a $7 million net worth, and James Cameron just adds a 0 to that number at a whopping $700 million. And in at number 1 is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver. Consider that the divorce. Australian-American bodybuilder, model, actor, businessman, and politician, Arnold Schwarzenegger was at a few times the highest paid person in entertainment. So, as you can imagine, a divorce from him, especially in California with no prenup, would be quite a payout. The divorce settlement between Arnie and his wife from 1985 to 2017, Maria Shriver, a TV news personality and the niece of President Kennedy, was estimated to be in the range of between $250 million and $375 million. The two were married for 25 years before Shriver filed for divorce in 2011. After news broke that Arnold had fathered a son 14 years earlier with the family housekeeper. On top of that huge amount and that huge controversy, their divorce also took a whole 6 years to settle. Arnold kept their longtime family home in Brentwood while Maria used his funds to acquire a new home nearby. Despite everything, they still maintained joint ownership of family vacation properties in Sun Valley, Idaho, and Hyannisport, Massachusetts. Alright, now that I feel sufficiently poor, that's all the time I have for today. I'm Adam Andrews, this is Where Are They Now? Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe and well informed out there.